Next environmental factor that we are going to study is the pressure. The pressure means what? That is, we are going to talk here about the pressure exerted by, that is, the air. That is in the atmospheric air, that is in the human body. Now, as we know that the atmospheric air is what? It is nothing but composition of various gases. The major are, say, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and also the water vapor. In a mixture of gas, a specific gas exerts a pressure, and that we call it the partial pressure, which is expressed in the units of millimeter of mercury. The partial pressure is exerted in the atmospheric air, that is in the humidified air, and that is the alveolar air, and expired air in the human beings. Now you can see the atmospheric air is, say, composed of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. Now these are the, say, partial pressure of various gases under consideration. You will find that is they are different in the atmospheric air, humidified air, alveolar air, and expired air. Now, for example, nitrogen exerts partial pressure of 597 mm of mercury, that is approximately 78.62%. In the humidified air, it exerts 563.4 mm of mercury, that is approximately 74.09%. In the alveolar air, the partial pressure exerted by, say, nitrogen is about 569 mm of mercury, that is about 74.9%, and that of expired air, that is about 566 mm, that is approximately 74.5%. Similarly, the various gases exert the typical, say, that is a partial pressure, say, in the atmosphere air, in the humidified air, alveolar air, and expired air. You will find these values are different in, say, that is the different mediums. For example, in the human beings, what we are interested, the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air is 104 mm of mercury, and that in the expired air is about, say, 120 mm of mercury. Carbon dioxide is about 40 mm of mercury in the alveolar air and 27 in the expired air. About water vapor, it remains same in the alveolar air, and that is expired air, which is about, say, about 47 mm of mercury. Remember here, if you total up this, say, that is the values, it comes as for atmospheric air at the sea level at 760 mm of mercury. For humidified air, it is 760 mm of mercury, and also in the alveolar air and the expired air, we get, say, this much value of 760 mm of mercury. This figure shows the same thing, that is the partial pressure of various gases which have been, say, that is expressed here in the inspired air, expired air, and that is, say, that is the partial pressure in, say, that is the alveolar. Now when, say, just concentrate here, that is, this is the right side, and this is the, say, that is the left side. Okay. Now you will find that the left heart pumps, that is the oxygenated blood, and that is in the through right heart, that, say, that is the, say, what we call deoxygenated blood is collected. Similarly, you will find that the partial pressure is more at the left side, and it goes on decreasing as the blood reaches to the right side of the heart. You can observe it. These values are changed. For example, for oxygen, it is 95 mm of mercury, and that is at the right heart side, it is about 40 mm of mercury, and so on. And it also differs when, say, the air is expired and inspired. I mean, it shows here partial pressure of gases in various parts of respiratory system and that circulatory system. Why it is important for human beings? Without, say, this much pressure difference at the capillary level, that there will not occur proper exchange of the gas. That also from, say, blood vessel to the lung, from the lung to the atmosphere, and so on. Now say there is one interesting thing about the effect of acute exposure to low atmospheric pressure on alveolar gas concentration and arterial oxygen saturation. Now this phenomenon is observed when man ascends to the greater height. For example, now say he is at sea level, you will find that at the barometric pressure of 760 mm, the partial pressure of air is say that is how much is 159 mm of mercury. That in the say of the carbon dioxide, that is in the alveoli it is of 40, that of oxygen in the alveoli it is 104, and that is in the arterial oxygen saturation is about 97%, and similarly breathing the pure oxygen that causes the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in alveoli as 40, that as 673 mm, and arterial oxygen saturation become say that is 100%. As one ascends at say higher altitude, the feet or meters, you will find that this all say partial pressure they go on say decreasing. I will not go in that say details of this table, but the idea is that one ascends to the higher heights, the partial pressure goes on decreasing. There is certain terminology that related with respiratory physiology. There is some terminology that we have to understand which is related with say respiratory physiology. The first is the hypoxia, means it is nothing but it defines lack of oxygen supply to the tissues. Anoxia, there is no oxygen supply to the tissues. Hypercapnia means there is excess say increase in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in arterial blood, especially that is the arterial blood, there you will find that increase in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Next is asphyxia, that is nothing but combination of hypoxia plus hypercapnia. Dyspnea, what do you mean by the dyspnea? It is distressed breathing where the subject is aware of the need of breathing, that is what we commonly call as a air hunger. Cyanosis is a condition characterized by bluish or violet discoloration of the skin and mucous membrane due to presence of excess reduced hemoglobin. Apnea means that is a cessation of that is the breathing. These are the different terminologies which are used in the respiratory say physiology. There are 4 types of hypoxia. Number 1, hypoxic hypoxia. Second is the anemic hypoxia. Third is stagnant hypoxia. Fourth is histotoxic hypoxia. Hypoxic hypoxia, what do you mean by that? Where there is poor availability of oxygen for diffusion to the pulmonary circulation. Anemic hypoxia means is where the hypoxia is due to the quantitative or qualitative deficiency of hemoglobin. Stagnant hypoxia means where hypoxia is due to poor velocity of the blood or sluggish blood flow. Histotoxic hypoxia means what? Is due to lack of ability of the peripheral tissues to pick up oxygen from the feeding capillary. Now, what are the effects of high altitude? As we know what is the effect of the high altitude, it causes decrease in the partial pressure of various gases. At one ascends to high altitude, there is reduction in barometric pressure of various gases in the air and alveoli, affecting 0% saturation of oxygen in an artery. Spasm of the feeding artery supplying the local tissue, for example fingers, that will occur. Venous obstruction can also cause local hypoxia. A sudden exposure to high altitude in deep pressurized aircraft cabin at height of 28,000 to 38,000 feet causes fall in the alveolar partial pressure of oxygen, cause decrease in the consciousness, and coma results within short time. First time climber at high altitude complain about headache, fatigue and dizziness, palpitations, nausea, anorexia, mean that loss of appetite, and insomnia, which is called as mountain sickness. These all symptoms are called as mountain sickness. Similarly, if there is a gradual exposure to high altitude during mountaineering, that is from 8,000 to 20,000 feet, the pulmonary ventilation increases due to 93% arterial oxygen saturation. At still more heights, that is about 1200 feet, drowsiness, lassitude, mental fatigue, sometimes headache, occasional nausea, euphoria is developed. At still higher altitude, twitching or convulsions can occur. When a person remains for a long time at high altitude, he develops mountain sickness or Monge's disease with following symptoms. There is very high red cell mass and hematocrit is developed. Pulmonary arterial pressure increases. There occurs enlargement of right heart, fall in peripheral arterial pressure, congestive heart failure. Death may occur if person is not removed at lower altitude immediately. Now, work capacity of muscle is also affected. There are certain, say, that is the pressures which are observed below, say that is sea level, and that we call it as a high barometric pressure. What is the effect of high barometric pressure? When humans descend beneath the sea, under pressure around them increases tremendously. Air is supplied under high pressure to prevent lung collapse. This exposes the blood lung to extremely high alveolar gas pressure, a condition called as hyperbarism. Relationship of sea depth to pressure. The ambient pressure increases by 1 atmosphere for every 10 meter descent, that is for every depth of say that is the 33 feet in seawater and every 10.4 meter of depth in fresh water. Another important effect of depth is the compression of gases to smaller and smaller volumes. The volume of given gas quantity is compressed is inversely proportional to the pressure according to Boyle's law. What is the effect of high barometric pressure? The very commonest effect which is observed is what we call the nitrogen narcosis. If a diver breathes compressed air, the increased partial pressure of nitrogen can cause nitrogen narcosis, a condition also called as rupture of dip. Nitrogen narcosis has similar characteristics similar to those of alcohol intoxication. Nitrogen freely dissolves in the fats of body like all anesthetics. It dissolves freely in the fatty substances in the membranes of the neurons, which affects ionic conductance through membranes, reducing neuronal excitability. When partial pressure of oxygen increases, so more than 100 mm of mercury, or that is 3000 mm of mercury, a large portion of oxygen dissolves in water of blood significantly rather than binding with hemoglobin. Acute oxygen poisoning also occurs if oxygen is breathed at very high alveolar pressure, causes detrimental effect in body. At 4 atmospheric pressure, partial pressure of oxygen is equivalent to 3040 mm of mercury, which cause seizures followed by coma after 30 minutes in most of the people. Acute oxygen poisoning also causes nausea, muscle twitching, dizziness, vision impairment, irritability and disorientation. This shows here descent of individual at various say heights underwater, that is say 33 feet, 100 feet and at 233 feet, and it shows say change in the say that is the barometric pressure. As one descends, you will find that barometric pressure goes on say increasing. At 33 feet it is 2 atmospheric pressure, at 100 feet it is say 4 atmospheric pressure, and at 233 feet it is say about approximately at atmospheric say pressure. It shows that is the effect of sea depth on pressure, and that is the gas volume. Gas volume goes on increasing as we descend further. Now say this table indicates here the depth at the sea level, and these are the atmospheric pressure which are very interestingly here I have simply shown in this figure the that is the change in the atmospheric pressure at height of 233 feet. But further also you can see as we just descend more and more, say the atmospheric pressure goes on increasing at 500 feet. You will find that the atmospheric pressure is the 16 atmospheric. Now next we are going to study here the effect of temperature on human body. As we know that depending on body temperature, animal kingdom is divided into, we know that into two categories, homeotherms and that is the poikilotherms. Homeotherms means what? These are warm-blooded animals in which homeostatic mechanism regulates body temperature. Cold-blooded animal or poikilotherms are temperature conformers in which thermoregulatory mechanism is weak or totally absent. So what is the normal range of body temperature in the man? Clinically, oral temperature is recorded at 37 degrees centigrade, that is about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, with a range between 35.8 degrees centigrade to 37.3 degrees centigrade. Skin temperature is about say that is 29.5 degrees centigrade. In the bracket it shows the values into Fahrenheit to 33.9 degree centigrade. Rectal temperature is higher than the oral temperature by 0.5 degrees centigrade to 0.6 degrees centigrade. That is approximately more by 1 degree Fahrenheit. I mean that is in the range of 30.58 degrees centigrade to 37.9 degree centigrade. Axillary or groin temperature is 0.5 degrees centigrade to 0.6 degrees centigrade, that is lower than the oral temperature, that is in the range of 34.8 degrees centigrade to 36.9 degrees centigrade. You can compare these values. Core temperature is the temperature of intra-abdominal, intrathoracic, intracranial contents which are maintained at constant temperature. Core temperature is slightly higher. It is about 37.8 degrees centigrade. The normal oral and esophageal temperature represents core temperature, which are most reliable. Shell temperature is the temperature of skin, subcutaneous tissues, lymph, which show wide variation of temperature. Exposure to cold temperature drops skin temperature to 15 degrees centigrade, which is not harmful because core temperature is maintained at 37 degree centigrade. Normal range of say body temperature is considered as within the range of 36 degrees centigrade to 37.5 degree centigrade. Now this shows here say that is the temperature of the various animals. Say they are say that is the more or they vary as compared to the man, say starting from these animals to say buffalo, then dairy cow and so on. And it also shows their pulse and respiratory rate. You can go through this table. Figure shows that is the various measurement sites where we can record the body temperature. For example, mouth and armpit, ear or forehead and rectum. It shows here the range of temperature as low temperature, normal temperature, increased temperature, light fever, moderate fever, high fever, very high fever. Now you can see in this say this table that say this is the range of normal temperature, this is the say range of light fever, this is the range of moderate fever, this is the range of say higher fever, and this is the range of very high fever. Just I told you that is what is say core body temperature. Just give a look to this figure, you can understand. The vital organs such as the heart, liver, kidneys are maintained at 37 degrees centigrade. This is the core body temperature. Skin temperature is usually lower than the core body temperature. On a warm day, skin temperature may be just 1 degree centigrade lower than the core body temperature, but on a very cold day, it could be up to 9 degree centigrade lower. There are some of the general considerations that we know. Temperature can be expressed in units of centigrade, and that is the Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit can be converted into centigrade by this formula. C is equal to into bracket F minus 32 multiplied by 5 by 9, and centigrade into Fahrenheit by this formula. F is equal to in the bracket C into 9 by 5, complete the bracket, plus 32. Normal is 37 degrees centigrade or 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. Measured under tongue, axilla or rectum that we have seen. Oral temperature is 0.5 degrees centigrade less than core body temperature, that is rectal temperature. Internal temperature varies activity pattern and changes in, say, that is the exterior temperature. Circadian fluctuation of about 1 degree centigrade, lowest at night and highest during the day, is observed. Women show higher temperature during second half of menstrual cycle. There are various physiologic factors affecting body temperature in the man: age, sex, diurnal variation, size, diet, muscular activities or exercise, climatic variation, emotion, sleep, general anesthetics, miscellaneous, say the factors like posture, piloerection, clothing, they all affect, that is the, say, body temperature. Now there are certain pathological factors influencing the body temperature. Say administration of, say, that is the pyrogens. Endocrine disorders can also influence the body temperature. Now how this, say, body temperature is regulated? There is a thermogenesis or heat gain or physical or chemical thermogenesis mechanism is there, where oxidation of digestive food, oxidation of carbohydrate and fats and proteins causes increase in the body heat. Skeletal muscle activity, that is a well-known, say, that is a factor to cause increase in the body temperature. Injection of adrenaline, that is thyroid stimulating hormone, increased thyroid activity, increases heat production. The minor source of heat gain is from higher environmental temperature and short wave radiation, about 0.5 to 3 micrometer, from sun. Long wave radiation, that is from 3 to 100 micrometer. Electromagnetic radiation also here cause increase in the body temperature. Amount of heat produced by liver is highest. Heat produced by liver and heart is constant. Internal secretions and enzymes, for example thyroxine and epinephrine, increases the heat production. Peristalsis and activity of various glands produce heat. Body temperature is entirely regulated by temperature regulatory centers in the hypothalamus, that is, say, present in anterior hypothalamic nuclei and the preoptic nuclei. So, and that's why the human body temperature is a constant and it is maintained by hypothalamus. Now what is the effect of, say, extreme heat or hot environment on the human body? It causes heat cramp, it causes heat syncope, it causes heat edema, it causes heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Similarly, the cold also produces certain effect on the human body. If we are exposed to the extreme cold, what are its effects? In extreme cold, thermoregulatory mechanism totally fails. A fall in body temperature that we call it as a hypothermia. There are two types of hypothermia occur: accidental or spontaneous hypothermia, or artificial hypothermia under control condition for surgical purposes. This branch is called as a cryosurgery. Local injury in dry condition with temperature below freezing is called frostbite. In wet conditions, immersion or trench foot may be produced by less extreme degree of temperature. Below 33 degrees centigrade, disturbances in physiological mechanism occur and fail completely at 30 degrees centigrade. Survival is at risk at body temperature below 24 to 26 degrees centigrade. Extreme cold also affects, that is the CNS. CNS, neurological function deteriorate progressively and impairment of consciousness is usual. It also affects cardiovascular system. Heart rate increases initially and as temperature falls further, heart rate slows progressively. Normal rate may be recovered by atrial or ventricular fibrillation. We have come across this terminology, atrial flutter. Atrial say that is the fibrillation, ventricular flutter and ventricular fibrillation. The rates are different. Or a profound sinus bradycardia which results in say cardiac standstill. Also occur heat loss. Total amount of heat loss by body is 12,500 kilojoules. Heat loss from body occurs by skin, lungs excretion, that is by urine and feces by say 1%, and by brown tissues. Skin losses heat by, that is a radiation 60%, by conduction 3%, by convection 15% and evaporation by 22%. Come across the one terminology, that is the pyrexia. Body temperature between 90 degree Fahrenheit, mean that is 37.22 degrees centigrade and 105 degree Fahrenheit above is called pyrexia, while rise of body temperature about 107 degree Fahrenheit, that is about 44.66 degrees centigrade, is called hyperpyrexia. Body temperature rises due to derangement of heat regulating mechanism. Toxins or what we call the pyrogens act on WBC, which produce pyrogens and act directly on anterior hypothalamus and body temperature rises. Fever occurs due to infections, for example pneumonia, typhoid, fever, etc. Injury to nervous system is also caused due to pyrexia. Dehydration, tissue destruction, malaria, administration of sub-drug, etc. also cause increase in the body temperature. What are the physiological effects of the pyrexia? Say metabolism increases, blood pressure, pulse rate and cardiac output increases, respiration rate increases, there occurs negative nitrogen balance, there occurs decrease in the plasma chloride level and dehydration occurs. We are discussing here now hypothermia. Hypothermia means what? That is the temperature below normal range. The deliberate lowering of body temperature is called as hypothermia, which have three grades. Mild hypothermia in the range of 35 degrees centigrade to 31 degrees centigrade, or moderate hypothermia in the range of 30 degrees centigrade to 25 degrees centigrade, and deep hypothermia that is below 25 degrees centigrade. What are the effects of hypothermia? It causes decrease in the heart rate, cardiac output, peripheral resistance. It causes fall in the blood pressure, and where the blood pressure remains at the level of 90 by 70 mm of mercury. Metabolism will reduce to 30 to 40%. Urine formation also decreases. Further effect of hypothermia is on CNS. It causes neurological functions which deteriorate progressively and impairment of consciousness is usual. Its effect on the cardiovascular is such that it causes increase in the heart rate initially, and as temperature falls, further heart rate slows progressively. Normal rate may be recovered by atrial or ventricular fibrillation. These values are shown in the figure. What do you mean by the atrial flutter? It's fibrillation, ventricular flutter and fibrillation, or a profound sinus bradycardia which results in cardiac standstill due to the hypothermia. Systemic blood pressure initially rises and follows progressive fall in the blood pressure, leading to severe hypertension and circulatory failure. ECG changes are also observed with prolongation of PR interval and widening of QRS complexes with T wave flattening or inversion. Decrease in glomerular filtration rate or GFR and impaired tubular function. These effects are masked by circulatory changes. Further effect is that it causes hypoglycemia, may also occur in hypothermia. At low temperature, oxygen dissociation curve shifts to left and less oxygen is given up, but physical solubility of oxygen increases to release more oxygen to tissues. In hypothermia, metabolic rate is decreased due to the direct effect of cold on the muscle and depression of CNS. Frostbite. When body is exposed to extreme cold, surface areas freeze to develop a condition called frostbite. Frostbite mainly occurs in the earlobes, digits of hand, feet due to high level of freezing. Ice crystals are formed in the cell which cause permanent circulatory damage and tissue damage. Gangrene also develops in severe cases. Surgery is preferred. Marked vasoconstriction in early stages is followed by vasodilation with pink coloration of the skin, probably due to paralysis of arterial wall due to cold. This completes here the discussion about all environmental factors, what we have studied, what are these factors and its effect. Thanks for watching and thank you very much.